Have you ever considered buying a really expensive guitar and then asked yourself, do I deserve it? We're going to talk about that on FreeForm Friday together today, right here on GearGasms.
Nice!
I just might have a problem that you'd understand.
Yay, yay. Hi everybody, welcome to GearGasms. I'm your host, Alan Barnes. It's FreeForm Friday. That means we can do whatever the hell we want. We're gonna, of course, have musical guests. We're gonna have comedy. We're gonna have a Funko Pop unboxing. And we're gonna talk about expensive gear and whether or not we deserve it. But first, if you're new to the channel, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe. This channel is kind of like generic lip balm. When you see somebody putting it on, right away you know that person is poor enough to have to suck dick for chapstick. But the problem is no one will pay them to suck dick for chapstick with those busted up, dry, cracked lips. Celebrate mediocrity. So yeah, today's thesis, if you can call it that, is expensive gear. Do we deserve it? And by deserve, I think what people are talking about is, can you play well enough to justify having an expensive guitar or any other expensive gear? This particular guitar, you want to buy it, it's going to cost you about $4,000. That's a lot of money for a 6-string guitar plank. It sure is, but it's beautiful. Now I'm plugged in today to the Mesa Boogie Mark V, which is also an expensive amp. It's one of their cheaper ones, but suffice it to say this is a very expensive rig. For this rig, you and the missus could go on a real sweet vacation. You heard how awful that was. Do you deserve an expensive guitar? Does anyone? First of all, no. No one deserves anything. You deserve what you get. Say your playing skill does not justify an instrument of a certain quality. And we've all seen this in other areas of life. I play a lot of tennis, or I used to. You see somebody, they show up on the court, they pull out an amazingly expensive custom tennis racket. You can tell it's a sweet string job. You're like, uh-oh, this guy's gonna have some skills. Then they get out there and they start hacking the ball around like they've never even played tennis before. And you roll your eyes to yourself, you're like, oh, it's one of those. So yeah, it's kind of the same way with a lot of hobbies. Do you deserve an expensive guitar? Now, my skill level, I would say, and I'm not being self-deprecating here, I'm being totally honest. Based on my skill level, if I had to price a guitar, for me, the max that I should ever spend on a guitar, I'm gonna say $699, $700. That is all I deserve. But yet I'm sitting here with this gorgeous guitar. So why? Why? Because I wanted it and I had the money and I bought it. And if you want something and you have the money, you should buy it too.
The problem now is that these people are expecting a show. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty.
So sad that it makes everybody cry. A real hurting song about love that's gone wrong. 'Cause I don't wanna cry all alone. I can always find someone, say they sympathize, if I wear my heart out on my sleeve. Hey little sister, what have you done? Hey little sister, who's the only one? Hey little sister, who's your Superman? Hey little sister, who's the one you want? Hey little sister, shotgun. It's a nice day to start again. It's a nice day for a white wedding.
But what you shouldn't do is, a lot of people think that by chasing these instruments of quality, that it's gonna make their playing better. And guess what? You're right. I'm making all those gear people mad right now. You're right though, and here's how it's gonna do it. It takes away all your bullshit excuses. You can't blame the guitar, the intonation, the neck's too fat, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah, because you're taking all of the hardware excuses right off the table. And now if you suck, it's because you suck.
You suck.
So getting a more expensive guitar can take those excuses off the table, and secondly, it can also motivate you to play more because of that guilt. You're like, oh, I spent so much money on this guitar, and all I could play is... My Paul Reed Smith is doing a Gibson impersonation today. Sorry, Paul.
Yikes. I could use a distraction right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty.
But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need. Won't you come see about me? I'll be alone, dancing, you know it, baby. Will you recognize me? Call my name or walk on by. Rain keeps falling down, down. I'm tense and nervous and I can't relax. I can't sleep 'cause my bed's on fire. Don't touch me, I'm a real way. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Run, 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 run away.
Would it even be a FreeForm Friday without a Funko Pop unboxing? I think if not. We got Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine here, Funko Pop number 29. Now you're saying to yourself, Alan, why Mad Magazine? This is supposed to be a guitar channel. Key phrase, supposed to be. But if you know anything about the old GearGasms, you know I like comedy just as much as music, if not more. And hence, Mad Magazine, Alfred E. Newman was my gateway drug into subversive comedy. Now perhaps you can't quite see it, but he is nattily dressed, a smart brown blazer. He has some jeans that are cuffed at the ankle, rocking a pair of red Chucks and a matching red bolo tie, permanently frozen in the what me worry stance. But yeah, when I was like 8, 9 years old, I got into Mad Magazine for a few years anyway, and then somewhere along the line, Saturday Night Live came into my radar and National Lampoon, the magazine. After that, just like a gateway drug, I couldn't quite get as high anymore off of Mad Magazine. That's kind of sad, really, isn't it? Mad Magazine, Alfred E. Newman, welcome to the GearGasms family. PRS is moving this morning. So there, that answers the question, like, we spent all that money, will it stay in tune? Not if the strings need changing, not if it's not warmed up. So you end up getting a guitar like this, and the first thing you want to do is play the White Trash National Anthem. But yeah, so you got a guitar like this, and you got an amp like that, and all you can just kind of do is there's a term for it, a derogatory term. It's called blues lawyer. And what that is some ass clown that has a lot of money and has guitars like this, and they show up to a jam, and this is like the limit of their skill. They're like, and you hear them just like raking across those strings, and you're just boiling with resentment because you're playing some garbage guitar, some Harley Benton. So you lay your hands on just like the most gorgeous, expensive neck tone you've ever heard in your life, and then you play it like me. And you play it like that. You hear me hacking? So what? I'm here to tell you, so what? You hear me hacking, right? I got a fucking YouTube channel. Buy whatever the hell you want.
If he wanted a pig, why didn't he just take my wife? And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty.
the sound they're playing on the radio. Let's sway while color lights up your face. Let's sway through the crowd to an empty space. Junebug skipping like a star. I don't even care to shake those zipper blues. And we don't know just where our bones will rest to dust, I guess. Forgotten and absorbed to the earth below.
Time once again for rarely asked questions. This week it comes from an actual comment on a video. It said, Alan, based on your channel name, I'm kind of guessing that you're into porn. Yeah, I know the name, right? I get it. I'm not mad at you. All right.
Oh,
we'll play your game. What is your favorite Pornhub category?
This is your mom.
Now, I'm not one of those guys that looks at such things. Your old friend Alan is an IT guy, and that means Mrs. GearGasms is married to an IT guy. That means Mrs. GearGasms knows how to check a browser history. So I'm not trying to get divorced. So I thought, all right, I'll use the Google web, and I'll just search a list of the categories on Pornhub, and I'll just read down one and see which ones might appeal to me. Now, to be fair, some of these I've never heard of, you have to forgive me, but after reviewing an exhaustive list, I land squarely on ATM.
I don't even know what that means.
And here's why. In addition to being an IT guy, your old friend Alan on GearGasms is also an MBA. I'm a finance guy, so I love money, right? And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of hot. ATM machines, there's cameras in them. People are like deliberately like doing their business, you know, in front of the security cam, knowing that people are going to strip it off the old VCR and send it to the interwebs. It's kind of hot, right? And I'm like, all right, so I'm guessing that, you know, if it's banks have banker hours, they're doing it after hours. Not as much chance of getting caught, but a big chance of getting robbed.
Busted.
They also have ATMs in bars, restaurants, casinos, nightclubs, liquor stores, medical methamphetamine dispensaries.
It's Brittany, bitch.
And who wants to see that? Do you really want to see a couple of scratched up chicken heads going at it in front of an ATM inside of a medical methamphetamine dispensary? I don't think you do. And I'm still kind of solidly behind it. Not having seen it, of course, but in my imagination, I'm thinking, if you could print this, ATM is the Pornhub category for me. Yeah! And that, my peeps, is rarely asked questions. What did we learn today? We learned that you don't have to be a great player to justify having a great guitar. You made that money, they didn't, right, Ted? We out of here. We also learned that Mad Magazine was one of my earliest comedy influences, although no one's ever asked me, and even more importantly, no one cares. And finally, we learned that when it comes to Pornhub categories, I am not in fact down with OPP. I am very down with ATM. I would like to thank our esteemed musical guest, Manny Vox. He can still tear it up on some karaoke. But more importantly, I'd like to thank you for the time that you spend with the channel. Please do not forget to tell some of your low-class, ghetto, embarrassing, slow-witted friends about GearGasms. We need them. We need subscribers. That ain't no joke. New t-shirts for this spring and summer. They're called the Color Pop series. I'm going to keep flashing them while I talk, the different color combinations. You gotta buy one. Whatever you do in the next 7 days, don't tell Alice Cooper about it, because all of his really cool rock and roll stories are from a period of his life where he can't remember shit. And no one wants to hear about golf. But play more guitar, watch less of the YouTube, and keep coming back here week after week for more GearGasms.